Hi students, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how to go about today's worksheet on ASCII. I'll use 7G's class page as an example today, but it should be the same for each of the Year 7 home-based classes for digital technologies. As we should be becoming familiar with, we can go into the topic here. So this is, in this case, a binary encoding topic that we're looking at today. And in there you will find any information that might be relevant in the individual classes as we go, and other links that might be important. This link here, of course, is the video about how ASCII encoding works, so you definitely need to watch that. That is not this video, of course. This video will be posted underneath here, it's not there yet, as an example of how to do the worksheet. So let's go back and let's have a look at how that part actually works. Okay, so what you should have been able to realize by now, after using Schoolbox for a little while, is here is our work that we have to do over on the right hand side. And as the instructions direct us to, we're looking for the binary encoding section. And we've introduced these new project ideas to these new topics, the last few topics. So we're looking for this particular project, which is around binary encoding. So if we click on that, that's going to take us to a list of possible activities. So right now, there is only one activity underneath binary encoding and decoding. It's the ASCII task. But by the time this topic is finished, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 more that show up here. So you'd be clicking on the topic or the activity that you want to do. And when you're in the activity, you will get access to any related files. So worksheet, in this case, another file that you're going to need, which is the ASCII chart. And this is also where you'd come to make the submission when you're done. So remember, with the project idea, we're going into the project, then we're going into the tasks that we want, depending on how many tasks that project has. It's just, a project is just a good way to group together similar concepts and ideas. Instead of having a whole heap of things show up on your report, they group them together into one sort of task at the end. Okay, hopefully that's made sense by now, but either way, this is what you want to get. Clicking on this ASCII message encoding decoding will download the worksheet, and it is a Word document. And then clicking on this one here will download or possibly open in your browser this chart, because it is a PDF. And that depends on how your browser is being configured. So what I'm going to do is bring up both of those worksheets now. So this is the worksheet that you'll be filling in. It's 2 pages. This is the first page and the second page. In a moment, I'll zoom into this a bit more closely so you can see it as we go through how to do these tasks. But for now, I just wanted to be able to show you the full sheet. Okay, so this is a Word document that you'll need to download and fill in, and then this is what you'll be resubmitting to the task when you're done. Okay, this is the second file that was available there. This is the ASCII code chart that you will need to be able to do the worksheet. While you can do it from your screen, if you have access to a printer at home, I would strongly recommend printing this out so you can have it literally next to you while you do the worksheet. Otherwise, you might find yourself having to flip between screens regularly, and that can get really confusing. So having an actual hard copy does make this a lot easier. I'm going to have both of them on the screen in a moment so that I can do this for the video. But again, having a separate printout of this does make life a lot easier. Okay, here I have both the ASCII chart on my right and the worksheet on my left. Again, it's not ideal to do it this way, but if you don't have access to a printer, this is probably the best way. Just divide your windows up equally amongst what you've got space for on your screen, or ultimately flip between pages if need be. So the first thing, when you come into your worksheet, you'll see there is a space for your name and your class code. So that is our class code on there. These are blanked out a little bit because they're, or grayed out I should say, because they're in the header. So again, you should know how to use headers and footers, but if you don't, if you double click on the area, it becomes active, and see the rest of the page is now grayed out. You can come into here and write your name. You might have to delete some of these lines to start with. So if I put my name in here, you can see how the code has sort of dropped down. So I'm just going to delete a few of these lines until it comes back. There it is. And then if I go into class code, it's something like DITE07 and then whichever home base you are. So I'm pretending I'm in G at the moment, so I'll put that in. And again, I'm just going to delete some of these blank lines there just to bring it back into one place. And when I'm done editing the header, so you can see the header is active, I just double click into another part of the page, and now that has become grayed out, so I can't touch it right now, and I'm now working back in the main page. If you're not sure why, the reason we use the header, of course, is we do it once and then it comes up on every page, so I don't have to literally go and write my name on every page. A good practice to get into, if it's not already part of a worksheet that you get electronically, add it in. And if you're doing any of your own work, it's always a good idea to put your name, your class, and maybe your student number into the header or footer, or both, so that your teachers know whose work is whose. But anyway, let's get started on the actual work. So the instructions are here. So we're going to use the ASCII chart. So that's why we need this chart over here on our right at the moment to complete the table below. So in the left column, so this column here, we're going to put one letter of our name, the first and last name, in each row. Then we need to not forget to use capitals and to include a space, which we'll indicate with SPC, between words, so between your first and last name. And then you need to find the ASCII code for using the table on the side, and you need to convert the ASCII code into binary. Okay, so if I was going to be doing my name, well, I'd have a capital N, then I have a lowercase a, T, H, A, N. Whoops, I made a mistake. Let me go back and fix that. Now, unfortunately, it is automatically making everything capital. So you might have to go back and type them twice almost. So if I do now my H, see when I went off it went into a capital, so I have to go back and type it again. It's a little bit of a pain. There is a setting that you can change in Word, and if you want to investigate that, you can, but it's a little bit more complex than I want to go into in this video. So unfortunately, it's just easy to type it, go off it, come back, type it again. We now want to put our space in, so we're going to represent that with just the word S or SPC, just to represent space. I'd rather not just leave it empty. I want to be really clear that I'm trying to put a space here. Okay, so there is my name. If you've got a long name, I'm sorry. If you've got a short name, well done you today. You don't have to do any extra. I have provided what I think is more than enough space on here for some of the longer names, but if there's not, you can add some extra rows in if you like. I now need to work out what the ASCII code is for the letter N. So if you've watched the video on how to do ASCII conversions, this should be fairly straightforward. If you haven't, go back and do that now. But basically, I'm going to come across to my ASCII chart now. I'm going to find the capital N. So I have to do a bit of scrolling here. Here is capital N. All right, it's in this section right here. Don't get confused with lowercase n, which is hiding down here behind these buttons, unfortunately. I want the capital N. So capital N's number is 78. So in here, I'm going to put the number 78. And again, don't get confused between capital and lowercase. You might be tempted to come down here to where there is another N and type 78 in. But remember, this is a capital N for 78. Down here on this line, I want a lowercase n, so I can't use that. If I look at my ASCII chart, I can actually see lowercase n over here is 110. All right. So because I have looked at that, I may as well type it in now, save myself some trouble. Okay. Now I've got a lowercase a, so I definitely don't want all these uppercase letters. So I'm going to scroll a little bit more across to the right of my table. And here is lowercase a, and its value is 97. So I'm going to put 97 in there. But here I am going to be smart and say I've got another lowercase a in my name, so I'm going to put that straight in. Okay, and we'll keep doing that. I'm not going to do all of them now, but we keep doing all of the letters. Once you've got all the letters, you can do one of two things. You can either go and work out yourself what 78 is as a binary byte. Remember, it's 8 bits to make up a byte. Or you can come back to your table and find those letters again and just copy down the binary because we happen to have them provided here. Not every time we do this have I provided the binary, but because we're learning remotely, I've decided to make it a little bit easier for you, so I provided the binary as well. So in this column, I would write the binary for the value 78, which is 0, 1, 0, 0, leaving a space between it just to make it easier to read, and it's 1, 1, 1, 0. So that's what I'd expect to see in that column. If I do the lowercase a now, that is the value 97 in decimal, but in binary that turns into 0, 1, 1, 0, space 0, 0, 0, 1. And again, if I'm being smart, I go copy that and I put that down here where I have another lowercase a already. And I keep doing that through all of my work until I've completed all the letters for my name. The other one I need to deal with is space. So again, don't forget there's an actual character for space. If I scroll across to my left here, it's the very first one in this table that I provided you. And the value for space, the decimal value for space, is the number 32. And of course, there is the binary for the number 32, which is 0010 0000. Okay, so you should definitely include the space value. So you'll complete all of this where you just have your name, first and last name. Now, the second page of this worksheet has a secret code here that you have to convert. So you need to first of all work out what this binary value turns into as a number. Okay, now you could search through the chart until you find it, but trust me, it will be quicker just to work out, as we've done in the previous topic, what this value is as a decimal number. So I can tell you now we're going to have a 64, a 16, an 8, and a 1. Okay, so if you added those numbers up, you'll get a value here. Okay, so let's say, for example, that value was the value 89. Okay, so now that I know the ASCII code, I would come over to my ASCII chart. I would go down sequentially through the numbers until I find 89, which is here, and then I'd look across. Sorry, those pop-up buttons get a bit annoying. I would look across from 89 and I would find the value y. In the process, I can double check that I have got my binary correct, and look at that, it is correct. So the first character is going to be a capital Y. And again, remember that you put in your capitals properly. Don't just do everything in capitals or lowercase. No, do the correct version for the character that you're looking at. And you need to do each of the characters that are here. So my personal suggestion is work out all your ASCII codes first and then just do a lookup for each one across into your table. It might mean that you've got a little bit less backwards and forwards between the table. Once you've worked out the characters, down the bottom here, you need to type them in. So the first row character will go here. So the Y that we think we've worked out goes here. And then the next row, and we just go across, and it does come down to a second line. So this is just to show the final message. Okay, so everything in the table should be filled out properly, every single row, and then that should transpose directly down to these boxes where you can see the final message. And again, once that's completed, you'll save it and you'll submit this entire worksheet back to Schoolbox, and I'll be able to give you correct and give you a mark for the two tasks together. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Again, make sure you've watched the actual introduction video about how ASCII works and how we do the conversions properly. You can rewatch this video if you need a bit more direct support with how to do this worksheet. But between the two videos, you should have all the skills that you need to do this task. Thanks, everybody.